Within each of us lies the power to turn minor problems into significant ones, transforming life's inevitable inconveniences into self-created dramas that overwhelm us with unnecessary suffering. Alternatively, we can choose the path of the sage, who recognizes that nothing needs to disturb our inner stability unless we willfully make it so. This mindset of non-disturbance, of meeting each moment with calm acceptance rather than emotional upheaval, unlocks profound reserves of peace and wisdom. It is a skill cultivated through dedicated practice until our habit of making metaphorical mountains from molehills fades, and we rediscover the simple grace of navigating life's ups and downs with centered poise. Question your inability to endure. Ask why this is unbearable. Why can't I endure it? You'll be embarrassed to answer, said Marcus Aurelius. Often, we tell ourselves that a particular hardship is too much to bear, but Marcus challenges us to examine this notion. Why is it painful? When we ponder this question, we may be embarrassed by the lack of a legitimate answer. Most of what we face is endurable if we have the proper perspective. Our minds frequently magnify challenges, making them seem immense and unconquerable. However, when viewed objectively, these difficulties are often within our capacities. Consider physical pain and ailments. A throbbing headache or a sore back can indeed be unpleasant, but are they truly unbearable? Haven't we endured similar pains countless times before? We realize our ability to tolerate them when we label them as mere discomforts rather than crises. Stressful situations such as public speaking or challenging conversations may induce anxiety beforehand, yet countless people endure these scenarios daily without falling apart. We possess an inner reserve of coping skills that can be tapped into if we shed the false notion that we cannot bear it. Even emotional hardships, like the loss of a loved one or the end of a significant relationship, can seem unbearable amid grief and heartache. Yet, as millions can attest, this pain can be borne if we remain resilient. Do not be quick to label something as unbearable. Interrogate that judgment rigorously. You may find that the only thing making it unbearable is your perception and attitude. Shine a light on that erroneous viewpoint by demanding justification for why you cannot endure. The lack of a convincing rationale will be evident. Genuine hardship undoubtedly exists. Terminal illness, abuse, war, and famine represent some of the most horrific circumstances a person can endure. We must retain compassion for those suffering unimaginable trauma and pain. Yet even in those nightmarish scenarios, many have summoned heroic resilience. For the rest of us facing more mundane struggles, we must stop pretending we cannot bear them. We often label circumstances as unbearable that, while challenging, can be persevered with the proper mindset. Question your protestations of unbearability. You possess more grit than you realize. The embarrassment of having no defensible reason will nudge you toward enduring with resilience. Adopt a posture of quiet strength when facing difficulty. Breathe deeply, remain calm and centered, and resist the urge to become overwhelmed. Hold your challenges in clear perspective instead of magnifying them. Take it moment by moment if needed. Call upon your problem-solving abilities to craft a plan for moving forward, and accept that some stress or discomfort may accompany the process. So much of our suffering stems from resisting what is, from arguing with reality instead of accepting it with equanimity. This resistance is what makes things seem unbearable. Consistently asking why we can't endure can cut through that resistance and realign us with our innate capacity for resilience. We strengthen what we practice daily. Just as exercising a muscle makes it more robust, maintaining an endurance mindset makes it more accessible in times of struggle. Over time, Prompting ourselves to honestly answer why something is unbearable forges the psychological muscle memory of perseverance. There will always be new challenges that test us, yet we need not convince ourselves they are flatly unendurable before we have given ourselves a chance to withstand them. With disciplined questioning and a steadfast refusal to exaggerate our hardship, we can flow through even the most daunting circumstances. The next time you begin to call something unbearable, pause and ask yourself to justify that label. If no defense emerges, realize you have the strength to carry on. Focus on the how, not the what. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them, said Epictetus. Our suffering often arises not from the event or situation, but from the perspective we adopt. The difficulty we face is not inherently disturbing. Our view of it troubles us. When adversity strikes, we frequently let our thoughts run rampant with catastrophizing and negative storytelling about the circumstance. We view it through a distorted lens of anxiety, anger, and fear. However, the objective facts of the situation are just that, facts. It is our interpretation that creates uneasiness within us. Imagine being stuck in a terrible traffic jam. For one person, this may generate panic about being late and missing an important event, envisioning total disaster. For another, it is a chance to listen to an audiobook or podcast and practice patience. The situation is the same, but the views taken make all the difference in the experienced disturbance. This plays out in countless areas of life. Spilling a drink at a restaurant is just a minor accident, but we may get furious about it, making a big scene and disturbing our inner peace. Or we can laugh it off and ask for napkins, refusing to let it ruin our meal. Neither view changes the facts. We spilled a drink. However, one perspective leads to upset, while the other allows us to move on undisturbed. The thing itself did not disturb us, only our volatile thoughts. A job termination or promotion denial is certainly disappointing and frustrating, but is it genuinely catastrophic? With one view, it becomes the world's end, agonizing over the loss for months and filling ourselves with bitterness. From another perspective, it is a professional setback to be sure, but also an opportunity to reassess, refocus, and pursue an even better path. Neither viewpoint alters the facts. One keeps us inwardly untroubled, while the other traps us in suffering. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can regulate how we see it. Things are never as bad as our frantic minds may make them out to be. In the heat of the moment, pause, breathe, and adopt a more rational perspective. The thing itself doesn't have to disturb you. Only the view you take of it can. Consciously choose a wiser outlook. By maintaining objectivity about the bare facts and circumstances, we remove the basis for inner disturbance. Our thoughts are the true source of suffering, not externals. Worry does not prepare us for anything. It merely depletes our peace of mind in vain. Anger cannot change the past. It only robs us of joy in the present. Applying prudent reason to our perspectives shields us from being tossed about by these draining mental states. Do not be enslaved by a negative mindset. Shift your view, and the thing itself need not be a source of torment. No matter how bad a situation may seem, we always have the power to view it through a lens of wisdom, courage, and self-restraint instead of fear. This is not to deny brutal realities, but to protect our core happiness from being held hostage to circumstances beyond our control. A severe illness is undoubtedly highly challenging. However, one perspective treats it as a death sentence and a reason to become despondent. Another wise outlook sees it as an obstacle to overcome with fortitude, or an impetus to appreciate each day more vibrantly. The situation remains the same. Our view alone separates suffering from equanimity. The next time something distressing occurs, do not just lament it. Pause to reflect on the perspective you are taking toward it. Is it a viewpoint that will disturb your peace needlessly, or is it a mindset that will help you endure with grace and equilibrium? You always have this choice over your inner orientation. One disturbs, the other doesn't, despite the facts being equal. Stand guard over your views and do not let wayward thoughts create suffering. While we cannot control many externals impacting us, we need never surrender sovereignty over the views we choose to adopt about our circumstances. Here is where our freedom truly lies, in the wise perspective that allows us to flow through life with balance instead of continually being overwhelmed by events. The next time your thoughts dramatize something, shift your viewpoint to objectivity. The thing only gains distressing power if you bestow it through your interpretations. View obstacles as opportunities. You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this. But there will be some external obstacle perhaps, but no obstacle to acting with justice, self-control, and wisdom. But what if some other area of my action is thwarted? Well, gladly accept the obstacle for what it is, and shift your attention to what is given, and another action will immediately take its place, one that better fits the life you are building, said Marcus Aurelius. Life is constructed action by action, choice by choice. Our aim should be to act with virtues like justice, temperance, and practical wisdom in each situation as best we can. No external force can stop you from embodying these qualities, no matter the obstacles encountered. Inevitably, roadblocks will thwart your desired course of action in other areas of life. A job gets lost, a deal falls through, and a plan is derailed. These are mere externals, temporary circumstances outside your control. How you respond to such obstacles is what truly matters and is entirely within your power. Rather than despairing, you must gladly accept and embrace the obstacle. Do not fight or rail against it, as that wastes energy and causes needless suffering. Calmly take stock of the new situation you face and the opportunities it presents. Then redirect your efforts toward a new action that aligns with the life you are. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on philosophy, personal growth, and living wisely.